What happens if you live your life day in, day out, binging on drugs and alcohol? Well, each case does differ, but in all too familiar circumstances, those who delve deeper into addiction end up not just doing damage to their body, but their minds also. People who prior to indulging in narcotics have no history of mental health issues turn to having psychotic breaks. People around those individuals describe them as not being that same person as they once were. This is 23-year-old Adam Butt who falls into that category. There isn't much to go off in regards to his history, although we can say that by 2020, he had a close relationship with drinks and drugs. At that point, it didn't seem like an issue, and after all, he attended the University of Essex, so we can assume that he probably only participated in such matters when at social gatherings and parties. As the coronavirus lockdown was in full swing by 2020 though, it was more than likely he had taken drugs in the year or years beforehand. Again, reports don't make it clear why or when specifically Adam started to go hard with drugs, but according to friends and family, by November of 2020, his mental state declined. In January of the following year, 2021, an intervention was put together to push Adam to seek out some help, but he brushed it off by saying it wasn't a problem. He would later come out to state that he felt people were nagging him, and this agitated him further. One of the leading roles in wanting to get help was 21-year-old tourist and Adam's girlfriend, Mary Wells. Mary had been visiting Adam from Baltimore in the United States for about 5 months at that point. They had initially met each other online and arranged to meet after Mary explained she'd been having a tough couple of years as her mother and grandma had recently passed away. She'd been staying with her grandfather at the time as her father never kept in touch. Either way, it was arranged for the pair to meet in August of 2020, and she was going to stay for about 6 months. Go and enjoy yourself, her grandfather told her, and so she made her way to the airport, got on the plane, and was ready to open a new chapter in her life. A huge adventure was on the horizon. This wasn't just a touristy trip to England either. This was a chance to see what it was really like to be a part of the community, to see what it was really like to live in the UK, something that she probably would have wanted to do with Adam moving forward. Everything ran smoothly. The plane arrived on time, she was picked up from the airport, and the pair went back to Adam's place in Colchester, Essex. For anyone who doesn't know where that is, it's about an hour-and-a-half drive from London. We don't know what the couple got up to throughout the summer, nor do we know what happened when the autumn swung around, but if you could have a wild guess, they more than likely visited a bunch of tourist destinations, but eventually they made their way back to Colchester, where life would go back to normal. The honeymoon period, so to speak, would die down ever so slightly. As November came around though, as you know, Adam started to change. I mean, even in the couple of months Mary had been with him, she could see it as well. He'd been smoking weed, taking acid and MDMA, and had also been drinking near enough every day. One friend would later come out to say that Adam told him he was stuck in a loop of never-ending acid trips because he would consume drugs pretty much all the time. And what would start off as a romantic time together would see Mary feeling alone and isolated in a foreign country with a boyfriend who was off his face on drugs. The relationship had started to sour. Out of nowhere, Adam would have aggressive outbursts, which caused Mary to be anxious before arguments. Adam had once told her, quote, "I could really kill you right now," while armed with a fragment of a broken mirror. He'd also ripped her necklace off her throat and said, "The animal in me is trying to talk." Another friend said that Adam was completely unrecognizable. He himself felt uneasy in his presence as he had become manic and paranoid. By January of 2021, everyone around him knew something was up, and that intervention was held. There were so many outbursts. We've only gave a couple in this story, but it is believed there was multiple incidents where this occurred. He also stated that he was seeing demons and shadow figures in the corner of his eyes. Family and friends decided it was for the best that he sought out some help, but as you know, that would never happen. At around 5:30 AM on the 17th of January 2021, police would show up to the pair's address to find a gruesome scene. Mary's body had been found on the floor at the foot of the bed with her head slumped forward, whilst Adam was found sat in a chair in the corner of the room with his head down, surrounded by blood on the floor and the walls. Mary had been stabbed with 2 separate knives and had been subjected to a painful death. Police believe that Adam had snapped once again, but this time it turned deadly. The reason? Well, the day before, the 16th, Adam had travelled to Gatwick Airport because he believed that a portal was there, and in order to use this portal, he would have to chop off Mary's head and use her eyeball as a key in order to make it through. When he returned home from Gatwick later on that day, that's exactly what he did. According to reports, it's believed that Adam lashed out at Mary, stabbing her with a knife, and she had also been hit in the throat with a dumbbell. It's believed she was alive for this portion of the attack because scratch marks were on Adam's face, but in the end, she was no match for him. Adam would discard the first knife, strangle her, and then equip a second knife where he went to town on her abdomen, throat, and neck. Going through with his plan, he attempted to cut her head off, but ultimately that failed. We don't know how authorities were notified about this attack, but it could have been a friend, because after the attack took place, he told this friend that he had just killed a demon. That isn't 100%, but reports in this case are very scarce, hence why we have to try and piece together what we can from the information we have. Either way, Adam was arrested in connection with the incident and was charged with her murder. But as time passed, he would go on to plead guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility, which the prosecution were happy with. At the end of July 2022, Adam was sentenced to 18 years in a secure hospital. He'll be eligible for parole after serving 10 years, but the judge in the case told him that he would be on a lifetime license moving forward.